What's up, you guys? It's Levi here. Welcome to the Cybersecurity Education channel. So today I'm going to be continuing along talking about on the series of cybersecurity while traveling. So currently right now I'm talking about device encryption. I've already done 2 videos on this. I've done a video on iOS devices, so iPhone, iPad, and then I've also done a video on Android devices. So today I'll be continuing along with that. I'll be talking about Windows 10 device encryption today. And then the next video that I'll be doing on encryption will be Macs. If you want to watch a video on iOS or Android encryption, I'll post links down below in the description so you guys can take a look at that. If you're looking for a Macs video, it'll be coming out soon, so just wait for that. And then Windows, you'll get to watch that through this video. Alright, so I picked Windows 10 specifically. I have all the Windows editions because Windows 10 is going to be the only supported edition of Windows coming in January of 2020. So if you have a Windows 7 device right now, you should really upgrade that Windows 7 to Windows 10, or even better, it's probably old enough that you should probably just buy a new computer, okay? So that's what we'll be talking about. We'll be talking about Windows 10 device encryption today. Some of the things I'll be talking about in this video. I'll be talking about what encryption is. I'll be talking about why it's important to you. And then I'll be talking about how the device encryption applies to Windows 10 and how you can get it set up on your Windows 10 device. And things that you need to know about encryption on your Windows 10 device. So hope you guys really enjoy this content. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so what is encryption? A very basic definition of encryption, or a very basic example of encryption that you guys can see. Let's pretend that this is your unencrypted PC, and you take this hard drive and you plug it into another computer besides yours. So you plug it into that other computer. You can see all the files on here. This is just a small subset of the files, of course, because I can't list them all out. But you have these 3 files on your PC, and you're just able to see all that information. You don't have to do anything else to access the data. It's just there. In terms of an encrypted PC or an encrypted hard drive, you take that drive and you put it in another computer when it's encrypted, and it's just going to be garbage to that computer. That computer is not going to be able to read that. You're not going to be able to read that information unless you have a password or you have an encryption key to decode this information. It's just garbage, gobbledygook. There's a encryption algorithm that is used to make this gobbledygook, and the only way to read that is to decrypt it and use the password that you gave it, or use the encryption key that it gave you. So that's kind of an example of encryption. Encryption just makes it so that you can't just go straight up read the information on a hard drive when you plug it into a different machine or change the hardware on your machine. You have to have a password and encryption key to be able to see that information. So that brings us on to our next point. Why is encryption important to you? Encryption is important to you, especially if you're traveling or moving your laptop or tablet around all the time, because if you don't have encryption on there, somebody can simply take the drive out of your system and plug it into their computer and be able to read all the information off of that drive without having to try to do anything else. Encryption makes it so if you lose your device, it gives you a peace of mind, because you know in the back of your mind that somebody has to go and decrypt this password, which hopefully you made super hard, or try to figure out what the encryption key is, or break the encryption mechanism, which are all super hard unless you set a super easy password. Then maybe not so much. Is this method unbreakable? Definitely not. Obviously, there's always ways around everything. I talk about this on this channel all the time. Nothing is unbreakable in security. It's all about making it as hard as you possibly can for somebody that runs into your device so that they can't just go and access that information without trying. by making it as hard as possible, it's more likely that somebody will move on to the next target. So for instance, in this instance, if somebody stole multiple laptops and yours was the only one that was encrypted, then yours is probably going to be the safe one, because if you have 5 other laptops that are encrypted, then why not go after those people first? It's easier, right? So yeah, encryption is all about making it as hard as possible. All right, so how do you do encryption on Windows 10? What do you need to know about encryption on Windows 10? Well, first of all, there's 4 different versions of Windows 10. We have Windows 10 Home, Windows 10 Pro, Windows 10 Enterprise, and Windows 10 Education. The majority of the time, most of the people that are watching this channel, if you go to the store like Walmart or something, or Best Buy, and buy a computer, more than likely it's going to have the Windows 10 Home Edition, which is unfortunate for encryption, because your only option for encryption is something called device encryption. All the other devices, so Pro, Enterprise, and Education, they all use BitLocker, which is way better. It gives you more options than the device encryption. So I'm going to talk about device encryption first, and then I'll move on to BitLocker, and I'll tell you about the differences of them. All right, so for device encryption, some of the computers that you buy from the store might already come with encryption turned on, which is great. It'll be device encryption if it is. There's the requirements that you need for device encryption are you need a TPM chip, you need UEFI, and you need support for connected standby on your system. If you don't have those 3 things on your system, you won't be able to encrypt your system. You'll either have to upgrade to Windows 10 Pro. Otherwise, you'll have to buy a new computer that has the supported hardware. Windows 10 Pro upgrade, I think, is about $100 right now at this point in time. So if you want to check and see if your computer supports device encryption, you can go and type down in the little search box, you can type in system information. You can right click on that and run as administrator, which is another requirement that's not mentioned. You have to be an administrator, but if you own your own computer, you should be an administrator on your computer. If you're not, get somebody that is to do it. Once you're in that system summary page, on the right side, you want to look for device encryption support. As you can see in this picture here, this specific picture, this system was not supported by device encryption, so they won't be able to use device encryption on there. But if it is supported, it'll say yes on there. So you might be asking,
well, Levi, how do I turn on device encryption?
All right, so go down to the search box again. Type in settings, then go to the update and security section, and go to you should see a device encryption page there. From there you can tell if device encryption is even turned on. If it's not turned on, then you'll want to go ahead and turn it on so you can get encryption set up. If it is turned on, then you're good to go. If you don't see a page like this and you're trying to look for it, or you don't have the option for this, your device probably doesn't support device encryption. Alright, so if you click that turn it on button, it'll go through the process. One more thing I forgot to mention for a requirement is you have to have a Microsoft account. If you don't have a Microsoft account, you can't use device encryption on your device, and you'll have to get one. If your computer ever crashes or anything like that, you'll use that Microsoft account to be able to recover access into your drive. So yeah, that's kind of how device encryption works. So now I'll be talking about BitLocker, and I'll be talking about the benefits of BitLocker over device encryption. So the number 1 benefit of BitLocker is you don't need a Microsoft account. If you don't want to be associated with Microsoft, you can go ahead and turn BitLocker on without the Microsoft account. You also get a lot more options to save for recovery keys, and BitLocker doesn't require a TPM chip. But if you don't have the TPM chip, you will have to set up a group policy on your device to say, hey, my computer can work without a TPM chip in it, and then you'll have to type in a password or have a USB key in your computer every time. So if you want to set up BitLocker on these devices and you have a version that's not Windows 10 Home, basically you can just go down in the corner on your computer, type in that search box, manage BitLocker. Then there's an option in there where you can turn on BitLocker and just go through the process. some things that you need to know. You'll have an option inside there of full versus used disk space. So you can encrypt the entire drive, or you can just encrypt the section of the drive that you're currently using, and as you use more space on the drive, it'll encrypt the rest of that. My recommendation for this setting is, if the computer is brand new and you've never used it before, encrypt use space only, because it will be faster and it won't slow down your computer as much while it's doing the encryption. It'll just be like that for the most part. Full disk encryption takes a really, really long time. It could slow down your computer for a while. You can use your computer while it's going, but it just takes a while. If you have used the computer before, you want to use full disk encryption, because that will cover everything. So any deleted files could be seen and not encrypted, because they're not part of that used disk space. So you want to make sure that those deleted files can't be seen by somebody else unencrypted. So you want to make sure you do full disk encryption on a computer that you've already been using. Some other things to cover on encryption. You'll get to a point when you're going through the setup on how you want to back up your recovery key. So there's a lot more options than there is for device encryption. You have the option to print out the recovery key and put it in a secure place. You have the option to put it on a USB flash drive. You have the option to put it on your Microsoft account if you choose to have your Microsoft account synced. Not a requirement though. And you have the option, if you have an Azure Active Directory account, then you can save it to that as well. Those are kind of some of the main things that you really need to know for BitLocker. I mean, the rest is pretty simple. You just click through it and go through the process. You'll have to restart at the end of it. One thing to be aware of is you want to make sure that you have a copy of this recovery key in a secure location. Sometimes, for whatever reason, at least in my experience, your computer sometimes will randomly request that recovery key when you restart it. And if you don't have that recovery key, you can't get your data. Your data is gone. So you want to make sure that you have that recovery key in a place that you can get to it when you need it. The same thing, like if there's a hardware change on your computer, you change something inside of there, sometimes they'll trigger it and then it'll prompt for that recovery key. Or let's say your computer takes a crap and you got to plug your hard drive into a different computer. If you don't have that recovery key, you won't be able to see the information on that drive. So it's absolutely critical that you keep that recovery key in a safe place and don't lose it. If you don't have a TPM chip in your computer, like I said, you'll have to enable the group policy to be able to, you'll have to go in group policy to be able to do that. I'll post a link down in the description so that you guys can look on how to do that if you want to do that. And then basically you'll have to type in a password or put a USB key in every time. So that's one of the benefits of having a TPM chip is the key is stored on that TPM chip, so you don't have to type in that password or have a USB key plugged in all the time. As you can see from this video, encrypting your hard drive is not too complicated. It's pretty simple to get set up on Windows. And then once you have it set up, you don't have to worry about it. Set and forget. It's always going to encrypt all the time. And like I talked about earlier, having your hard drive encrypted, especially if you're moving your tablet, your laptop around all the time and you're going traveling, it gives you a peace of mind that, hey, I don't have to worry about my information as much if I lose my tablet or laptop, because somebody can't just pull that information off. You just have to make sure that you have a secure password on your login screen. If you have a password set up to unlock your drive, when you reboot your computer, you need to make sure that password is secure as well. Check out my video on password tips in 2019 if you want to make sure that you're setting a secure password. One more thing I forgot to mention before I finish out this video. You can also encrypt other drives besides your main drive. Don't believe that's an option on home. I think you're pretty much shit out of luck on the home edition. But on these other editions, in that same menu that you went to where you encrypted your first drive, you can go back and you can encrypt other drives, so like USB drives and things like that, and it's kind of the same process for those. So that's one of the benefits of having these editions, is you can also encrypt all the drives in your machine, and you can encrypt all your external all of your USB drives, which I highly recommend because USB drives are super easy to lose, and you wouldn't want to have some type of critical document on there that could get you in trouble because you lost the USB drive, and it could cause a data breach for you or your company or whatever. So that's another benefit that I forgot to talk about of all these versions, is that you can encrypt as many drives as you want to. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, guys, and have a great day.